Hello and welcome to the Unplayable Podcast. Australia has wrapped up their tour of the West Indies and they've finished it unbeaten. 3 Test matches, 5 T20 internationals, and our man on the ground who's been there for all of those victories has been Jack Paytner. He joins us now live from the Caribbean. And Jack, are you sad that your trip to the Windies is coming to a close?
Hello, Josh. Yes, a little sad, I guess. It's a beautiful spot of the world over here, but it has been a long tour. Been on the road for the past 2 months, so I can definitely feel sympathy for the players who are playing all over the world 8-9 months of the year. But good tour for the Aussies. Unfortunately, it's been a tough series for the West Indies, who are back in action as soon as Friday, looking to bounce back. But yeah, certainly a great result for the Aussies. Eight games, 8 wins, most they've ever done on a tour, I believe, in terms of going undefeated through a tour. Wow. So certainly Andrew McDonald, Mitch Marsh, and Pat Cummins head home very happy.
Now, before we get into wrapping up that tour, we want to get your weekly winner. Jack, you've been keeping an eye across all the cricket news. Who's taken your eye this week?
My weekly winner, something just happened fresh today, actually, but my weekly winner might be Gautam Gambhir for standing up to the Oval head curator overnight. They had a bit of an argument ahead of that 5th test in London. So you've got Ben Stokes and the English coming for the Indians as well as the local curators there. So fair play to Gambhir for standing up to his squad and taking on the Oval curator Lee Fortis. So there's my weekly winner.
He obviously didn't like what he saw. Must resemble a highway at the minute, does it?
I think it was. I'm only just sort of reading the press from over there, but it looks as if they got told to stay more than 2.75 meters away from the pitch, which they're playing on in a couple of days' time. And obviously the players and the staff, the support staff, wanted to get a look at the pitch that they might be playing on. So they had a training session there overnight where they were using 3 wickets across the square. And you've been to the Oval, how big that square is. It stretches the whole way across the ground. So I think there's a bit of a disagreement over how much of that square they were actually using for training. But it's certainly made for a good story for the press writers.
And 2.75 metres seems a pretty specific number. We know that, captains and coaches love to get down on their hands and knees and touch the surface and, knock the surface, all these sorts of things. So if you've got to stand almost 3 metres back, they're going to probably feel a bit uncomfortable about that, aren't they?
They would, yeah. And you see it before games, actually, when they have the pitch roped off before the toss, before the warm-ups, and only the captain and the coach are allowed inside that roped-off area prior to play. So they're very protective, usually in most games anyway, most international games. You often see Andrew McDonald and Pat Cummins, out there sort of feeling the wicket, and then you've got George Bailey, the chair of selectors, standing on the other side of the rope talking to Andrew McDonald about what he sees and feels in the pitch. So it's a pretty curious way of going about things.
I'm sticking in England for my weekly winner this week. I've gone for Chris Green, the New South Wales off-spinning all-rounder. Last week he got 160, a career high score against Gloucestershire. And this week, just a couple of days, or yesterday as we record this, 6 for 82 against Glamorgan. Wow. He's absolutely killing it for Lancashire. Before he came this season, they were dead last in Division 2. Now they've won a couple of games and they're up to 4th spot. So Chris Green he lost his New South Wales contract at the end of last season, but he's killing it at the minute in first-class cricket.
Well, he was killing it for New South Wales as well before he I think he had a bit of an agreement to hand that back so he could go and play a few T20 leagues. But, when he debuted for New South Wales, I think it was maybe 2 seasons ago now, he killed it. Wickets, runs, everything. So he's certainly a very good player, not just in the white ball formats, but also the first-class level.
Yeah, I think we might see a bit more of Chris Green this summer if that keeps up. Now, Jack, the T20 series, as we mentioned off the top, Australia won it 5-0. I don't think anybody would have predicted that, even in the most optimistic of Australian supporters. Where do we start when we wrap up this one? Obviously, there were some outstanding performances, a record 100, a milestone match, and some great wicket-taking bowlers. Who do you want to nominate first as sort of the standout performer from this series?
I think the standout for me was Cameron Green, so we'll stick with the Green theme. But, coming back into the side after the back injury, obviously had the strong finish to the Test series and sort of just carried that through into that role at number 4. Like, he hasn't played a lot of T20 cricket. He had a couple of good IPL seasons 2 years ago, but then didn't play this year. Hasn't played Big Bash since 2021, I believe. So hasn't played a lot of T20 cricket, and then sort of just slotted into that spot at number 4 seamlessly. He's got a lot of power, hit a lot of sixes. It was sort of Tim David hit 15 sixes, then it was Mitch, Owen and Cameron Green who hit 12 each in the series. So he just used those long levers and sort of found a home there, and it's making for tough conversations going forward, looking to head to that World Cup, because you've got obviously Glenn Maxwell who opened, but Travis Head's coming back in. So I know we'll get to this a little bit later, but he's certainly had a very good series. Player of the series as well, 3 50s from 5 innings. So a lot to like from Cameron Green for this series.
And quite a few players say that the hardest position in T20 cricket to bat is number 4, because you get so many different situations to come out in. Green has done it, and he's taken to it like a duck to water. Is this a position that he could really make his own long term?
I think he certainly could. And you look at the way he's floated up and down the test order a little bit of late as well. He batted at 4, I think, in some ODIs against the West Indies a couple of seasons ago. So he's certainly taken a liking to that spot at number 4. And it kind of suits his game because he's got that temperament to be able to bat through an innings, but also that power to be able to just explode from ball 1 if he needs to. And we certainly saw that throughout the T20 series. He's able to weather a bit of pressure when the West Indies got on top in the power play, then explode through the middle of the innings.
And of course, he's not bowling at the minute as well. So when he is available to bowl again, he's going to add that extra dimension to the Aussie attack, which they've already got a few pace bowling arounders in that squad, don't they? So one of many, but he's obviously such a weapon with the ball when he's going.
And if you think about the World Cup next year being in India and Sri Lanka as well, that would allow Australia to potentially play an extra spinner or an extra spin bowling all-rounder if they've got Green already in the lineup as a pace bowling all-rounder. So, it does add a lot of flexibility to that side.
It was a series for the batters, especially once the series got to St Kitts with those minuscule boundaries, Jack. Tim David cashed in, especially in the third T20, with a record 37 ball 100. Now, on TV, those sixes looked big. A lot of them were clearing the buildings. Was it just because the ground was small, or were they actually massive hits?
No, they were still massive hits. 69 metres was the maximum boundary size at Warner Park in St Kitts, but all of those sixes were landing on the roof or over the roof. Couple, up in the high 90s. I can't remember if I saw a 100-metre one, but there was a 98-metre one, and then Josh Inglis hit a 98-metre one in Jamaica as well. So, and that's also a relatively small ground as well. So certainly still big hits, but it meant that if you didn't quite get it, you'd still had a chance of sort of clearing the rope. But the Aussies certainly cashed in with those small boundaries.
Yeah, Josh Inglis is another one who had a good series with the bat, wasn't he? He was batting number 3. I suppose that spot maybe is not exclusively his, especially when you have the likes of Travis Head coming in to maybe shuffle that top order around, but it's good to have somebody like that in the team who can bat anywhere, I guess, similar to Green.
Yeah, that's right. And a lot of questions, well, not a lot of questions, but I guess a conundrum for Australia, you could say, because they've got a lot of depth in this squad at the moment. They're playing fantastic cricket. They've lost only 1 game since the last T20 World Cup in the middle of last year. So they're the form side in T20 international cricket. And they've got a lot of players in form and a lot of players who can play sort of similar roles to each other. So it's just finding a balance where they can fit all those guys in and still make sure they've got a side that has that balance to be able to win games from sort of any position.
Now, one of the bowlers who was a standout in a very batter-friendly series was, of course, Nathan Ellis. An economy rate of only 7.88 for the whole series was the best of the Aussies. Now, Kane Richardson said that come the T20 World Cup, Australia, they're inevitably going to stick with the big 3. But can Nathan Ellis sneak his way in if he keeps up these performances?
Well, he's mounting a strong case, isn't he? To be in that.
But he's done that for years. He's always had a strong case.
He has, yeah. But I think it's just the consistency of the games. Like, he played all 5 games this series. His economy rate was 7.88. And when you're talking about 69-metre boundary, that's outstanding control. And like, there was one game there where that back of the hand slower ball that he has, he bowled one to Shafane Rutherford, who just, his swing was so out of sync. It looked like a baseballer at the plate, just completely missing a curveball and just swinging like down the wrong line. He was like so out of sync with how slow the ball was and threw his shot way too early that it just goes to show the skill that he's got to be able to bowl those deliveries in pressure moments. And if you look at his numbers across the past 18 months, they stack up with the likes of Hazelwood, Cummins, and Stark. So he's certainly going to push those guys for their positions. I think his economy rate in T20s is second to only Hazelwood for fast bowlers for Australia who have played in the last 18 months. So he's certainly going to make it tough for selectors to just automatically stick to those big three.
And it was great to see Adam Zampa bring up a milestone, his 100th T20 in the fifth match of the series. He's the fourth Aussie man to get there. I think there have been 6 Aussie women, so it's a pretty exclusive group. Do you reckon he can catch Rohit Sharma's all-time record of 159 T20s, or is that a bit out of reach for Zams?
Well, he's only in his early 30s, so potentially he's bowling well. And, as he sort of spoke about prior to that 100th T20 and also prior to 100 ODIs last year, he kind of prioritises playing for Australia. We saw that he missed the IPL last year to play, in the T20 World Cup, make sure he was primed for that. And then sort of he played for Surrey in the last few weeks before this tour to make sure that he was tip-top for the Caribbean. So he kind of prioritises series or tournaments that he think will get him in the right shape to play for Australia. So if the hunger's still there, who knows how he can go. We've got Nathan Lyon, who's said he wants to play on potentially till he's 40 to go back to England and try and win an Ashes and a series in India. So, certainly possible if the likes of Lyon can do it and if he stays fit. So there's no reason why he couldn't.
And I know we talk about it every time there's a World Cup, especially in the subcontinent, but Zampa is just going to be so crucial to Australia's chances once again, isn't he, on those pitches?
Yeah, and just the ability to take big wickets, kind of wasn't, as productive, I guess, in this series just gone, but still, was able to chime in with big wickets here and there. I think he got 6 for the series potentially, and just he was able to bowl at the death like he did in the 5th T20. Bowled the 19th over, took a wicket there, should have had a second, and then he can bowl straight out of the power play as well, and just that ability to be able to break a partnership is what he's always been known for, and he just continues to do it. So, he's going to be really crucial come that World Cup. Depending how Australia want to structure up their team, if they want to go with 3 quicks, then that a lot of onus will fall back on Zampa again.
Yep, just checking the numbers now, 8 wickets for the series, so almost 2 per game. It's a fantastic return for a white ball spinner. Unfortunately for the home side, Jack, the West Indies under new coach Darren Sammy, it was a tough watch, and their supporters, they will be hurting because 5-0 is bad enough, but when it comes after a 3-0 loss in the tests as well, there wasn't a whole lot to cheer about in the end for them. So what's next for the West Indies and how do they improve from here?
Yeah, well, they also lost their last T20 home series as well in December, 3-0 as well to Bangladesh. So it's been a tough run for West Indies supporters at home. And you got to feel for them because they were in the contest at stages. They were in the first innings of all 3 test matches, and then they had a strong power play across the sort of T20 series as well. They took more wickets than Australia did in the power play, 12-7. But then that's sort of middle overs. Australia just took over. Their strike rate between overs 7 to 15 was 211 compared to the West Indies 170. So that's probably the area where they could look at sort of improving. Is like they've been strong in patches, but just that consistency across the whole match in the Test series, and then obviously the T20 innings. They just need to string those performances together. And when you're playing against a strong side like Australia, they'll make They'll hurt you if you're not quite at the top of your game for the duration of the 20 overs.
And, I mean, the West Indies, they've traditionally been a strong T20 team. They've won 2 World Cup titles, of course, and last year when they hosted the tournament, they looked like the favourites for the first portion of the tournament. I mean, you just feel like they will come good come February and March next year, but there's still a lot of work to do for them. Yeah,
they've got a bit of a fresh squad as well. They've lost Andre Russell this series, and then Nicholas Puram's retired recently. So they've got a bit of a fresh-looking squad. They've got a few new younger players coming in. We saw Jediah Blades make his debut during the series. He picked up 3 wickets in one of the matches, so he looks promising as a left armour. But yeah, as you mentioned, Australia have overtaken the West Indies as the biggest hitting team in T20 internationals now. Fewest balls per 6 for Australia, 11 11.1 since the start of 2024. The West Indies are out to 11.4. So, and they out-hit them 64 sixes to 53 throughout the series. So Australia have sort of taken a leaf out of what West Indies have been able to do for so long and just applied it to their game and beat them at it.
Now, Australia's next series is against South Africa in the top end and far north Queensland in less than a fortnight, in fact. 3 T20s and 3 ODIs against the Proteas. Australia's squad has been announced yesterday on Wednesday, and Mitch Owen, he is in both squads after a fantastic debut series in the T20 format. He now gets his chance in the ODI format as well. The other returning players are Josh Hazlewood, Travis Head, and Matthew Short. And there's also Marnus Labuschagne, Lance Morris, and Xavier Bartlett returning, but only for the 50-over portion of that series. So, Jack, Mitch Owen, the rise continues. What a fantastic 6 months it's been for him.
It has, and you just got to look back to February. That 100 he made against South Australia at Adelaide Oval, 46 ball ton in a 50-over match. So he's showed that he can apply his method in the T20 format and just do it for longer in the 50-over format. So it's exciting to see him get a run, and potentially where does he bat in that side? We've seen that they're trying to create a role for him in the T20 side as a finisher down at number 6, which he performed really strongly at, having not done it for a while because he opened for the Hurricanes last year. So that'll be intriguing as to where they sort of put him in that side. Do they see him as an opener when you got Travis Head there already, Matt Short, Mitch Marsh who bat in the top order, or will it be the same theory they'll apply to the T20 that they applied to the T20 format and do the same in the ODIs and bat him in the middle order?
Gee, he looked the part too in the middle order too, because often you see those big bash stars who make all their runs as an opener and then they come into the national side and they're shuffled down the order. They really struggle, but no issues for Mitch Owen. I think 3 scores of over 30 for the series. So an amazing start to international cricket for the 23-year-old.
And they threw different things at him too, the West Indies. So obviously he got away starting against spin in the first match in Jamaica, and then last night in the fifth match in St Kitts here, they went short at him early, and he sort of got a few off the queue end, was through a bit late on a few balls, and lobbed a few up to sort of in that mid-on area, but there was no fielder there. And then all of a sudden he just started backing away, carving them sort of over the offside, cracked a few pull shots to the fence on the leg side. So he was able to just find a way to sort of problem solve through that, which is exciting to see for a young player coming into international cricket for the first time.
Definitely. So no Pat Cummins and no Mitchell Starc for this dual series. They're going to continue to rest ahead of what's going to be a massive summer with some India white ball matches and then, of course, the men's Ashes. But Travis Head, he's one who comes back in, so it's good to see him back in the Aussie colours. South Africa, Jack, they've also named their squad. There are some big names there, including Kahiso Rabada, but there are some big names also missing, who I'll just read out now. Marco Jansen, he's one. Heinrich Klaassen, he won't be there. David Miller won't be there, nor will Heinrich Nortje. But it's a strong squad, especially considering this team, well, they lost the T20 World Cup final to India last year, didn't they? So they're coming off some good form of their own.
They are, yeah, and obviously had a strong series in Zimbabwe when all those guys were missing as well. So they're another team that's got good depth in the international, in all the international formats. Temba Bavuma comes back for the ODI series as well after he hurt his hamstring in the World Test Championship final. So they're certainly carrying good form, and you got the likes of Markram in both squads. Ryan Rickleton is in, Tristan Stubbs as well. So those guys that the Aussies will be familiar with, having just played them just over a month ago. Those all format guys. So certainly shapes as a fascinating series given the rivalry. Given the rivalry between the both sides and just how good a form Australia is in, has been in since that World Test Championship final.
And I know it's a different format, but that result in Lords a month or so ago, that will add an extra edge to this contest, no doubt, because South Africa weren't expected to win that and they trumped Australia on the biggest stage. So good to see that they're coming back, and there is a lot of players who cross over between those two. So it's going to be fun to watch. The other one who is going to be there is Test triple centurion Vian Mulder. He's in the ODI squad, so he'll be looking for another big score, no doubt.
Yeah. And Dewald Brevis as well. I think it might be the first chance Aussie fans get to see him. So he made his Test debut recently as well. So he's another one with a bright future in South African cricket, and he's sort of seen glimpses of him in the IPL of recent times and in the T20 format. But to get a chance to see him will be exciting.
When your nickname is Baby AB, you know that you've got some big raps on you. So looking forward to seeing him in action. The first match of that series is in Darwin on the 10th of August, Jack. We mentioned it off the top, but India and England, the fifth test of this massive series, is just about to start on Thursday night, Australian time. England hold a 2-1 lead. Jack, I don't want to get too much into the details of this series, but I do want to see if you've got any hot takes on the finish to the Manchester Test match. Stokes held out his hand and said, guys, stop batting. What was your thoughts and opinions on that finish to that match?
Do I ever? That was just ludicrous, wasn't it? It was like he was just chucking a tantrum there. And it makes for interesting viewing if that behaviour continues when they come out for the Ashes this summer, because I dare say, based on the reaction in Australia to that, Australian fans and media will be having none of it, and could make for some fiery battles that the Aussies sort of don't get drawn into that as much these days. But you could bet that if a similar thing happened, there'd be the senior guys, Mitch Stark, Nathan Lyon, they'd be all in there. Marnus, if he's sort of back around the squad, will be chirping. Sam Constance is known to have a few words as well. So, it certainly makes for a fiery series if that kind of behaviour continues. What did you make of it?
Well, I wasn't surprised. Like, if you're in Ben Stokes' shoes, I get it. You want to get out of there, but there's all this thing in cricket, isn't there, about the unwritten rules, and with Washington, Sundar and Jadeja on 80 not, you probably allow them to get to their milestones and then you call it off, don't you? So, and it did. The match finished 5 overs after the supposed handshake was turned down. So he didn't have to wait too long. He could have just kept bowling those Harry Brooks of the world, and it's going to be over before you know it.
But there's another simple way to make sure they don't get their hundreds and call the game off that way, is to get them out. So, and you forget that you forget that India were 2 for none in that innings as well. They'd lost 2 wickets in the first over, and then KL Rahul scores 90, Gill scores 100, and Jadeja and Washington Sundar had batted for the best part of a day to save that test. So they probably deserved hundreds as well. And Washington Sundar had never hit 100, so he certainly wasn't going to throw in a chance to score one of those. Interesting. It certainly made for good reading, didn't it? The way that all sort of blew up the next day, and I think a lot of the English reaction was along that sort of vein as well. That they sort of thought it was a bit ridiculous, just how much how much England made of it and how much of a tantrum they made of it, where they could probably foreshadow that was going to happen. But it reminded me of sort of when we were playing club cricket, Josh. You used to have to play a tee on day 2 of the match just to keep the council happy. So if you'd been knocked over cheaply on day 1 and you weren't pushing for an outright, you used to have to keep playing through till tee on day 2, just so that someone wouldn't drive past the ground and complain to the council that there's no cricket on there, so why can't we use the oval, that kind of thing. So definitely reminded me a bit of that, where you'd just be bowling the batters and get some cheapies for the play cricket stats.
There you go, the politics of suburban cricket in Melbourne for all our listeners there. Jack, and also I think it serves England right for rolling out these absolute flatties of a wicket. Let's give something for the bowlers, okay? That's a good plan.
Yeah, it does, and it's they're going to get a bit of a shock. I think, as Steve Smith was saying, as he turned out for Welsh Fire to begin his sort of 100 campaign. The pitches are a lot different in Australia these days to what they have been in the past, and it's kind of flipped a little bit. Whereas you get really good batting surfaces in England because they want to play that style, whereas in Australia it's we get a lot of seam movement these days, and it is really hard for top order batting. So it's going to make for a fascinating approach as to how England try to combat that when they get out here for this summer.
And I reckon as well, there's going to be a fair reception for this England team as well. We've seen ticket sales just going absolutely mad so far for the 5 Ashes tests, and now they're bringing this reputation with them. The Aussie crowds are going to let them know about it. It's going to feel like the 2013-14 series, where Stuart Broad in particular was getting a lot of stick after his non-walk in that Nottingham test. I reckon we're going to see similar sort of scenes.
Yeah, and a lot of travelling English fans as well. They do travel quite far to watch their side play, and given how that last Ashes series finished in 2023, where you had obviously the Alex Carey stumping, and then the ball in the Oval Test, the rain at Old Trafford, and there was a lot of tension by the end of that series. So that's sure to play out again when they come out for the Ashes this Australian summer.
And of course, the Barmy Army couldn't travel for the last home Ashes series here as well. So they'll be chomping at the bit to get down to Aussie shores and enjoy a bit of sunshine over the December-January period. Jack, breakout players, Richard and I flagged it last week that we were going to put some players on the record that we're nominating to have an absolutely stellar season so that we can say that we were the ones who called it. You want to have a bit of a go at this as well. So you've done some thinking. Who is on your list to break out in the summer of 25-26?
Well, my list, taking one from our fan suggestions, but Campbell Callaway, the young Victorian opener, the way he finished last season looked really good. Looked like he sort of found a role that potentially suits him in the Sheffield Shield side. So I'm going him as my first selection. The second one is because I love fast bowlers and I love, tearaway quicks, is Callum Vidler from Queensland. Another one who was in that under-19 World Cup campaign, and he has done really well in the Shield. And at the Shield final last year was kind of their main strike bowler when they were trying to knock over South Australia. So he's my second one. Third one is Charlie Knott, another Queenslander. So young all-rounder. I'd love to see her get a debut for Australia at some point across the summer. It's hard to break into that side, obviously, but she's done a lot of good things for Australia A, for the Heat in the WBBL, as well as Queensland, and also in the English season as well. She's been killing it over there. So
yeah, she's a real three-dimensional cricketer too, isn't she? Obviously, she can bat and bowl, but she's gun fielder as well. So I like that selection.
Yeah. We're sticking with the Queensland theme here again. Lucy Hamilton. So I think she's another one who could break out. Tall left armour, 12 wickets in her first full WBBL season with the Heat last year. She played a little bit before that, but last season was kind of just a toe in the water as to what she can do. She also batted number 3 for Australia in the under-19 World Cup, so another one with all-round potential. And then the fifth one I've got, again, because I love fast bowling, Marlee Beardman. So we got a little taste of what Marlee could do last summer when we saw him towards the back end of the season with the Scorchers, and then WA in the white ball stuff as well. But if we look ahead to this season, I reckon we'll get to see him with the red ball at some point. They'll manage him carefully, but just so exciting to see him get that red ball in his hand for WA, and he'll certainly ruffle a few Sheffield Shield batting lineups, I'm sure.
Yeah, I like it, mate. So 3 quicks in there. Don't mind that at all. And, of course, Richo nominated Vidler and Beardman last week as well. So a bit of pressure on those 2 young guys to take some wickets this season. Yeah. I nominated Liam Scott and Sophie Day last week. I think those 2 have both put some runs on the board so far and are now primed for a really big season. They both played Australia A over the last 6 months. And obviously Liam Scott, he's taken the new ball as well at times, so good to see. And we know that he can bat high up the order, so he's a real all-round package. Sophie Day didn't take a lot of wickets in last year's WBBL, but her economy rate of 6.61 as a left-arm spinner, that's elite, and that was right up there as among the best in the competition. Caleb Jewell, Jack, he has been killing it for Derbyshire in the county championship, and he's shown glimpses in the Sheffield Shield, but I think now he's 28. He's really got some runs on the board, and he's got a new Big Bash contract with the Melbourne Renegades. So he's one who is going to really have a good season.
He also lost his spot in that Tasmanian Shield side last season, so he has a point to prove coming back from Derbyshire. So yeah, good pick, that one.
I've got another all-rounder in Sienna Ginger. She's another one who's played Australia A recently against England A. She took a 5 in the one-day match against them. Then she scored 54 in the 3-day match against them. She's a really promising medium pacer, and I reckon she's been batting sort of 6-7 in that Queensland side, but I reckon this season we might see her come up that order a bit. So I'm excited by Ginger. Love the last name as well. And then Lockie Hearn, I've gone another Queenslander. Well, New South Welshman turned Queenslander. He scored a 62-ball 100 against the England Lions last year, and then an 86-ball 100 in the One-Day Cup against New South Wales. He's a really dashing, exciting left-handed batter. Ben McDermott has left that Queensland squad for personal reasons. He's headed back to Tasmania. So there's a a spot that's up for grabs in that Queensland middle order, and I think Lockie Hearn is the one to take it.
So basically we're tipping Queensland to win both the Shield, the One Day Cup, the WNCL and both Big Bash competitions.
Great work, Jack. We've got your players on the record. We'll get Richo's 5 breakout players next week. Appreciate the updates. Before we let you go, are you heading straight home or are you going to do a bit of travelling after your Caribbean sojourn?
No, we've got a bit of travel lined up. So I've got a week in New York planned. So my wife has come over for the last portion of this trip, which has been a nice, refreshing change from just watching cricket all the time. She's forced me to get out and do a few different things. So we've got a week in New York and then a week in Canada before we head home and gear up for a big Australian summer. Sensational,
mate. Great work this tour. We've really appreciated your updates and all the test recaps and all the news that you've been providing for cricket.com.au and the CA Live app. So great work. Enjoy those couple of weeks off and we'll catch up with you soon.